This is Jake Walker with Great North Wrestling, and I am here with uh, a former Playboy Playmate, a WCW valet, and apparently now a winner of many awards at the 14 Film Fest in England for the movie Kill City Cup, Miss April Hunter. April, how
Hi.
are you today?
I cannot complain. How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Awesome.
Um, we're gonna get right into this. As a child, did you ever watch wrestling?
I did not. I watched a lot of Bruce Lee and Kung Fu Theater and then MMA. So I kind of fell into this.
Awesome.
hmm
Um, so you mentioned Bruce Lee. My next question was going to be who are your favorites, but since you mentioned Bruce Lee, so Bruce Lee would be and like Jackie Chan, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I would probably say, they had the Kung Fu Theater on Sundays, so my brother and I would, get up and watch that. And we were both in martial arts from a pretty young age, so that was our thing.
That's awesome. So what made you finally decide to become a wrestler or get into that?
I, I don't know if it was so much of a decision as it was a logical career move. Um, I'd been I'd been modeling and I did Playboy and I was in the same issue as Kimberly Page, so WCW saw it. That they recruited me. I worked for WCW for a little while and then Terry Taylor referred me to WWE. So WWE sent me to Killer Kowalski's to become fully trained. How that came about was just a series of, do you want to go down this path? And me going, sure, why not? And the story in my head at that time, I would think I was in my late 20s and I was like, well, I'm getting kind of old and I'm probably not going to be attractive much longer. I'm approaching 30 very fast. I better just try something else because I can't keep modeling the things we tell ourselves. So
Yeah.
there you go. That's what happened.
So my next question would be, what kind of training did you go through? What was it like?
It was the worst and best thing I've ever done in my life. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Wrestling training. I mean, I've done some really hard things. I mean, I was raised horribly. I
Hmm.
in a military family where we shifted around every 3 years in the middle of every school year. Um, I have been through a lot. I went back for my degree as an adult at an accelerated school and got it within just a few years. I don't think I've ever done anything as hard as pro wrestling. Uh, the training is brutal. The only thing I can maybe compare it to is boxing, because boxing training is really brutal too. Um, I think wrestling is worse because boxing you're taking a lot of hits, but you're actually able to protect yourself. Whereas wrestling is like it's like being in the worst CrossFit workout you've ever been through with no warm-ups or anything. And then also getting in your car and being in a car accident rammed repeatedly from the front, the side, and the back, all in the same day. And that's what you feel like for about, I want to say the first year. It just doesn't stop. And it's hard, you just kind of eventually kind of acclimate to it. But that training is hard and people quit like a lot. And then of course they try and make you quit too. So there's a lot. So that I would say it was one of the most mentally, physically, emotionally challenging things I've ever done. And I would say that's probably that way for anybody who's been through it, not just me.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of horror stories and I've seen a lot of stuff. So I've
Yeah.
never been myself, but I've seen the situations that you guys
Yeah.
get yourself into, and yeah. So you went to Killer Kowalski school, you were saying.
hmm
Yeah. So how much interaction did you have with Kowalski
With Walter, he was there every day.
every
So
day?
Yeah, he
That's
was there every
great.
day. He sat in front of the ring. He would usually leave by, we were there, let me think, we started at 4 o'clock. He would usually leave around 6 o'clock, getting to be dinner time. We were there till 7 or 8.
Hmm.
Yeah, but he was there every day. So saw him every day. We were there 4 days a week. So yeah, he was a good guy. He was very good to me. I was the only female in the class for the longest time.
Hmm.
So he used to take me aside and show me all these little things, like if somebody grabs your purse, do this. And he would show me how to like basically kill somebody, take them down and kill them with my purse. Or like if somebody grabs you from behind, do this. And then he showed me like all the pressure points and how to take somebody
Oh,
down and kill them with my elbow. Yeah. So
that's
when you go
awesome.
to Japan, if they try and shoot on you, try this. So yeah. So I
That's
learned a lot from him.
that's awesome. Awesome.
So all the guys
So
in the class at some point or another have been taken down. And if it, by me, yes.
oh, that's great. That's great. So I'm gonna go back to what we touched on about a minute or so ago
Mhm.
about the WCW. How
Mhm.
were you put in the position of walking various members of the NWO down to the ring in WCW?
Extremely lucky or extremely bad booking, however you want to look at it. We came in, they didn't know what to do with us. It was, 5 pretty girls. They're like, oh, we'll just put you in the limo, come out for Scott Steiner's birthday. You guys were gifts for him.
Oh,
Boom,
wow.
there we were. They, I don't know. We were ratings boosters. That was it,
Yeah,
eye candy. So,
absolutely. Okay, so I was talking to somebody earlier today, and he wanted me to ask you who has the bigger arms, Hogan or Steiner?
oh, that's a good question. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure on that. They could be dead even. I'm gonna lean towards Steiner just because Hogan has slimmed down overall and Steiner has kind of retained the thickness. I saw him at WrestleCon the year before last. And I don't know if you guys are on my Instagram. It's Real April Hunter. And there's a picture of all of us there as myself, as Scott, Rick, and I. So you can kind of judge for yourself because that's a recent enough picture within the last year-ish. So see what you think, and I'm sure there's a recent picture of Hogan. See see what you think. So
I
yeah,
would be with you on that one. I'd lean towards Steiner for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Steiner's always retained.
Yeah,
He's always been in pretty good shape. So
he has been. Yeah,
yeah,
I met him probably like I want to say 10 years ago or something like that, and the guy was still friggin' like jacked. Like
yeah,
it's ridiculous how much, like you were
yeah,
saying, he's retained. Like it's
yeah. These old school wrestlers, they come from a different, that we the I want to say the Gen X wrestlers, they come from a different work ethic or a different
oh,
time where people just worked hard and they had really good discipline, and you just keep that. And a lot of them kind of reverse aged or aged in place. Yeah, because I remember our parents were so much older than we were at the same age, it seems like.
yeah.
So yeah, they kind of set the bar pretty high. So yeah.
Hey, so the same guy that asked me to ask you that question wanted me to request you to do a Macho Man Randy Savage impression because
Oh
he said
yeah.
that
Sorry.
he
Snap into a
said that
Slim Jim.
there we go. All right.
I'm sorry, it just happens. It just comes out. Sorry,
How can it?
what were you asking?
Oh no, he was just wanting me to ask you to do some Macho Man impersonations because he
Oh,
says,
okay.
yeah, that was it.
That was it. All right. Sorry. You just started with Randy and I was like, "Bleh."
Right? How can you not? I
I
think
know.
that's everybody
Yeah.
who grew
Yep.
up with wrestling. It's
Yep.
like, yeah,
Like, it's like funny. You go through the day. I don't know. I don't know if everybody does this, but I go through the day and I'm like, it's just like fluent movie speak, like quotes, Trailer Park Boy quotes, and then wrestling speak. And that's just a whole day. That's it. So it's just like, you know, that's just the way it is. It's literally, you throw in it's let's get two birds stoned at once, Bubbles. Oh yeah, it's just the whole day. So
That's terrific. So you're a Trailer Park Boys fan too?
I've been a Trailer Park Boys fan forever, since they were on TV in Canada, because I was married to a Canadian and I worked up there a lot. So they were on channel 5 in Canada, and they were filmed in mockumentary style. It's very, very mockumentary style. Are you in Canada?
I am, yeah.
Oh, then I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on Vancouver Island, so
Okay.
I know. Yeah,
Alberta. So
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
well then you guys know all about it, then
Yeah.
I don't have to explain it. But for Americans who are not familiar, and we only got it when it came with Netflix, I remember watching the show, especially when it first started out. It was very grainy, very documentary, because they're kind of trying to fool the people into thinking this was real. And it was just so freaking funny. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, this show is so great. They could never do this in the United States because of our rating system. Like, we lose out on so many great stories and films and opportunities because we have such a severely, like, a strict rating system here. Like, you can't have more than 3 seconds of full frontal nudity. You can't have more than 2 F words, or with every increment with every rule you break, the rating goes from G to PG to PG-13 to NC-17 to like all of that. And as you go up, you lose more and more and more money. It's a stupid system. And everything here, it's either protect the kids. It's either always protecting the kids. So because of that, we lose our ability to tell a good story. And I was just like, oh, Trailer Park Boys are never going to be able to come to the United States. Not with the way they, drop the F-bombs everywhere and the gratuitous drug use and all that. But man, this is a great show. And then Netflix picked them up.
Yeah.
And then they were here.
Yeah.
So, yep. And then they were here. So I was wrong.
Have you got the chance to meet any of them?
I have not, but I have seen them live. In Tampa, they came to theater live. A couple of my friends up in Canada, they went to some of the wrestling shows and they were doing appearances there. So yeah.
Oh, so cool. I think you'd appreciate this. I met Randy and Leahy at a wrestling show in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, Canada, on the prairies, and they were wrestling. Randy was called the Hamburger.
Really?
And it was the most hilarious thing. His member came out of his pants at one point in the match, and everyone was like pointing and laughing, and Randy's just like, he had no idea what the heck was going on.
Couldn't see it. You couldn't see it. There was a visual blockage right there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, the most down-to-earth guys too. And Leahy lived that role. Like, he lived that.
I heard he never broke kayfabe on that.
Yeah. No.
I heard he was also stone cold sober. Like, he never drank a drop.
How?
So,
like, that is such good acting.
I don't know. Well, I heard with wrestling, like they say the heels in real life play faces, and faces in real life love to play heels. And I would say that's true. So I guess the same thing, alcoholics love to, or rather, sober people love to play alcoholics.
Yes.
Yeah, you mimic what you see.
That's right.
So I'm jealous. You're lucky. I would have loved to have seen that. And I've heard nothing but good things about them.
If I would have known, I would have grabbed that picture that I have of the two of them signed, and I would have shown you. But that's advice I have to younger wrestlers.
Always get pictures with people. Always.
Yeah.
I don't care if they tell you, oh, you're a mark or whatever. Screw those people. Get pictures with whoever you want. Just be polite about it and say thank you, because life's short.
Yeah.
Life's short. Take pictures. Don't worry about what people say.
Absolutely. I agree with that. All right. So now we're going to jump over to a bit of TNA with you. How did you land a job with NWA TNA in 2002?
I didn't land a job with them so much as the situation was, it was weird. They just started. they were doing these weekly pay-per-views at the time. I think it was $10. It was out of Tennessee, and you could watch get the pay-per-view every week, and people did. But they weren't using any female wrestlers at all. They seemed staunchly against it. And then having worked with the Jarretts, Jeff Jarrett is the one that reached out to me, and he said he was doing something with Alan Funk with a Miss TNA crown, and did I want to wrestle him? So I was like, hell yeah. So, I just started school in like 2000. So I was only 2 years in, maybe. Not even, probably a year and a half. I was fresh, wet behind the ears and everything. But it was a hell of an opportunity to get on TV and have, be seen. Because when I did get to school, what happened was ECW and WCW folded at the exact time that I got to school. So I kind of, even though I was referred there from WWE, I got lost in that whole shuffle of what contracts are we going to keep, who are we getting rid of, all that stuff. So when it came time to go anywhere, I just started going to Japan and Mexico and Europe and Canada and England and all that instead. So when the opportunity to work for TNA came up, I took it for sure. So, and I was the very first female wrestler they ever had on there. I'd like to think that the Knockouts division that I opened the door for that. Obviously something worked out, because they were very against having female wrestlers, and then they started having them. So I was fairly insulted. I saw an article, it was like 10 female wrestlers who predated the Knockouts division, and I'm going down and I'm doing 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4. I'm still not seeing my name. 3, 2, 1. I'm not even on it. I'm like, wait a second, what? Dicks. So
one thing
anyway.
I'll say, you can't, that's only like that one person's thoughts on that.
I know.
So it's like,
never read your own press ever.
no, absolutely not.
Never.
Yeah.
Another advice for young wrestlers: never read your own press.
Absolutely.
And don't take anything personally.
That's right. You have to have a thick skin, I think.
Oh my God, yeah. You can't take compliments or critique very seriously. It's your product. You're presenting a product.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to, what was it like working with Miss TNA Bruce?
I like Bruce. He's good. He was good in the ring. If you watch the match and you see us in the corner and we look like we're fighting, we are actually fighting. He got rough with me a little bit, and I was so new, I didn't know how much to put up with. And then at one point I just reached out and hit him. So I could hear Walter going, if somebody hits you, you hit them back twice as hard. So like I tolerated it. And then finally I'm just like, wow. So,
Nice.
So that happened.
I'm gonna have to watch that again. That's been years since I've seen that.
Yeah, TNA wanted him to strip me at the end, typical stuff back then. So I remember they wanted him to take rip my shirt down and just to rip my clothes off. Again, this is the stuff, years ago that was normal. And I remember, without anybody knowing, I put duct tape inside my shirt where the zipper was. And you'll see him, he's struggling with my shirt, trying to get the zipper down. I taped that MFR up. So yeah. So it ended up like he's struggling, couldn't get it done. So yeah, I did not get stripped. Maybe that's why I didn't go back after that. I don't know.
Right.
I'll take my clothes off. It'll be shameless, because everybody knows that's how you get famous. Oh well.
Any memories of working with Erik Watts?
I vaguely remember that match. I had matches with TNA. It was Alan Funk, Erik Watts, Desire, Taylor, and help me out there. Canada.
Canada?
Yeah, you would know her. I'm just blanking on her name. Everybody knows her. Sarah Stock.
Okay.
Sarita.
Right.
I had
Yeah.
matches with all of them and probably others, but not all of them made it for TVs. And I don't, some of them have never seen the light of day. Um, Eric Watts, I remember it was a fun match and I never saw it after that. So I don't
Okay.
know. Did you ever see it?
Back in the day, at
Okay,
some
so
point
it
I
did.
did.
Okay. I didn't, I
Yeah.
have a lot of my stuff I never see unless somebody sends it to me. So
I think that's smart. That's
yeah.
smart of you to do that. Yeah,
A lot
absolutely.
of stuff I don't see sometimes, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
man. So yeah, some of it's good, some of it's not good.
that's right. What was your relationship with your tag team partner, Nikki Rocks?
Oh, okay. So she's great, Nikki. She was one of the students at Killer Kowalski. She was his girlfriend. Um, so she used to come to training all the time with him. And I could just tell she wanted to get in the ring. So, and afterwards we would all go to the gym after training. I don't know, after training for 4 hours, we would go to the gym afterwards because that's what we did. And go lift some weights. So yeah. And she would go and she would, you know, really give it some effort. She was young and she was a little bit heavy and she was new. And I would work out with her in the gym and she would just keep up and not say anything. And she would throw the weights around. And I remember training her and training with her, and she would do it and not complain ever.
Mm.
So after a while, I went to Walter Kowalski and because I said something to her, I said, "Hey, how come you don't train at Kowalski?" She's like, "Oh, we don't have the money for that." Because she and it was his name is Dave Cahill, DC Dave Cahill, DC Dillinger. He has since passed. But she said, they were living together and they were young, and she's like, "We don't have the money for both of us to train." So I went to Walter Kowalski and I said to him, I was like, "Is there any way that we could work something out to get Nikki in the ring? It would be nice to have another female here, and maybe she could do an exchange or a trade somehow. Like we could have her." Because I was doing the website for and the marketing for Kowalski's at the time too. I was also at the same time at New England School of Photography, so I was doing a lot of shooting and um, keeping up the site and all, and photographing everything and everybody. It was funny. Last week, somebody posted a picture of uh, Albert and Walter and, oh my gosh, who else was in there? Oh, LB, Lyndon Byers. There's like a group of them on the ring. I was like, we took that picture. Um, but I said, "Do you think you could do something where we could, and he's like, maybe she could flyer, go to the shows on flyer and work it off somehow." He's like, "Let me think about it." Comes back in the next thing. He's like, "I think we can do it." So that girl worked her ass off. Like,
Mm.
because WWE came into Boston about twice a year. We were there for the start of the show and the end of the show till the last person came out flyering with Kowalski flyers. We were flyering all the local shows everywhere. We actually, she worked. So that's how she started training at Kowalski's. So and I I remember I was working in Japan. I was one of the very few Western females working there. It's myself and Sarah Del Rey.
Mm,
We were the
mhm.
only, I think we were the only two going back. Oh, and Cheerleader or Melissa. We were the only three foreigners there at the time. And I noticed that a lot of the single females or single wrestlers also working in tag teams. So like Mima Shimoda, Momo Nakanishi, they were, solo wrestlers also had tag teams. So I came back and I was like, we should do that. It's kind of self-preservation too, because if you can work singles, you can work tag, you can work as a manager or a valet, you can manage a stable, you can do everything, right? So Walter was always really big on wearing purple. I said, let's call ourselves the Killer Babes. So we were the Killer Babes. So we were the first female tag team. It's a lot of firsts. So Oh, your mic went out. Or at least I can't hear you anyway.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you worked for Jersey All Pro, and were you the only hold on, and we're the only female to win those tag titles. How did that come about?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Jersey All Pro was basically they became like my home federation.
Hmm.
They let me run with the ball, I think, more than anybody else ever has. They were wonderful to me. So they let me basically do whatever I want. I worked with everybody there. I think as I would take anything, I would do anything, I would try whatever they asked, and they were very good to me. So they brought in girls for me to work. They started a women's division. They had myself and my male tag partner win we won the tag titles. I was the first female to hold them, and then 3PW also gave us the tag titles right after that, and just became a cascading effect there. So I don't know how it came about. I was good at what I did.
Yeah.
There you go. And I look
There
cute
you
in tights.
And you said you do anything too. So you were
Well,
good.
I don't mean anything, but I would, if as much as I
Yes.
could.
Yeah.
So that kind of sounds bad when you talk about, but I would, if they, whoever they wanted me to work, I would work.
Yeah.
They want me to take some kind of move, I will take this move if it's, feasible. So yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. So now we're gonna go over to Carmen Electra's Naked Wrestling League.
Which was done right in Toronto. And I got to warn you that I have to get off here because I have another podcast right after yours shortly. But
don't worry, I only have like 2 more questions for you.
Okay, perfect.
So
let's talk about
all right.
Let's talk about Naked Women's of Wrestling.
Yes, Naked Women's League. What did you think of the promotion, and how did your broken nose affect you while you were there?
Oh, so wow, that's a several part answer there. Okay, what I think was I turned that promotion down so many times. I said, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to get away from all that stuff. I'm a real wrestler, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Every time they came back and they offered more money, to this day, it is the biggest paycheck I've ever had. They paid me a ridiculous amount of money for a match. And then we also did Maxim, and they did a Penthouse one too. When Penthouse turned Playboy style, they came in and had us do that as well. So because for a minute there, Penthouse decided to go the way of Playboy. And we were right in that opportune moment there. But yeah, so they had a couple of wrestlers, and it was mostly strippers, but they hired Ron Hutchinson to train all the girls. So, and he did. And then they hired professional makeup artists to come in and gloss everybody up, do the hair. They had a really good camera crew. The girls, sorry guys, the girls would fall and your legs fall open. Camera would cut away and they would do another angle. Only the live people got to see that part. And Jimmy Hart walked me down, which Jimmy Hart lives around the corner from me now. It's funny. Jimmy Hart walked me down. He was my manager. And I'm taking my stuff off and I'm disrobed. And, I see him at the grocery store recently. I'm like, hey, what's like, he looked at me like he had no idea who I was. Like, just, I've got no makeup on, my hair's in a ponytail. And he's just like, you could tell he had no idea who I was. I didn't want to say, yeah, all right, nice to see you again, Jimmy. So, but yeah, we did a run through on the match. We had a really nice match planned. It was Melissa Coates and I, as good as we could, because she was only partially trained. But she had an amazing look. So unfortunately, on the run through, we were doing a hip toss, and she just, I don't know what happened, but she just boom right in the face. And that was one of those, normally you feel it afterwards, but I felt that when as soon as it hit, I landed, I was like this, and then I just blood everywhere. And it was funny too, because they just said, we cleaned the mat. It was pink. We cleaned the mat. Don't screw up the fucking mat. Sorry. And so blood everywhere. Annie Social was there. I'm like, Annie, do you have tampons? She's like, yeah. I said, can you get me a couple? So I'm doing the tampons up the nose thing, which works if you have a bloody nose. And then Ron Hutchinson is calling around various hospitals in Toronto to figure out which one has the least wait time to, because this is Friday night. He's like, oh God, it's Friday night. And we found one. I was in, and the week before previous. Now listen, Americans, okay? Okay, Canadian healthcare here. I was in 15 minutes. The week prior, I had been in Mexico, and I thought my ankle was I don't know if it was fractured or something wasn't right. Well, I just mentioned it while I was there. They're like, do you want us to x-ray that too while you're here? I'm like, I don't need a separate appointment and a separate copay for that. They're like, no, you're already here. Just do it. You're shaking your head like this happens all the time. That happens all the time there? Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So they straightened this, they cauterized it, they did the whole thing. Then they looked at my ankle. It was sprained. They fixed that up. And I'm like, huh. And I was on my merry way within an hour. I'm like, huh. That was my first experience with Canadian healthcare, where apparently your dog will die before you'll get seen. Or your dog will get seen quicker than you will. You'll die waiting. Is what we were told. So I'd experienced Japanese, I'd experienced Jamaican, I'd experienced UK healthcare where they actually came to my hotel room, same with Jamaica. And in Germany, they came out to us also, because a whole bunch of us got strep throat and bronchitis, and they came to the venue, the doctor did. So I've Japanese healthcare was good. It was interesting. And then of course after marrying a Canadian, I experienced quite a bit of Canadian healthcare, and there's good and bad, but I really can't complain about it. I've always had good experiences with that healthcare, but yeah, I was cauterized, I was packed, we went back. Melissa looks at me, she's like, do you think we can still do the match? No, I do not think we can do the match, because they're like, you need to lay on your back, do not move when you sleep, because I'm packed, and they had to straighten everything. Like, she broke it good, and to this day that my septum's deviated, I snore like I'm a 400-pound man, so I'm told. Anyway, yeah, it's never recovered from that one. And she had a hell of an arm, you know what I'm saying? She was yeah.
She looked like she had
Yeah.
a hell of an arm.
Oh yeah, she got me good. So we then improvised the next day's match to work around all that. And when I was working, I was still packed in there, but we did the best we could with what we had without me having to pull out of the match. So we did a little bait and switch, haha, fun. Here we are, naked match. So that's what happened. So yes, it affected it greatly. It was not a quality match. It was not my finest moment, but the match we had the day before or previous to that was planned was pretty freaking good. Too bad you guys didn't see that one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I know that you have to go soon-ish, and I have to too, actually. So I will give you the final word here, and then yeah.
Oh, okay. You're passing it to me. Oh no, I was curious to hear what your last question was.
No, we don't have to do that last question. It's okay.
Okay.
Depending on how things go with this, I'd want to bring you back again sometime.
Okay.
Just maybe for a live one, so then we can have like fan interaction and that sort of thing. So
okay. Well, if anybody wants to see me live, I do have a podcast on Wednesday nights called The A Show. And you can find that if you just search The A Show with April Hunter. That's on Twitch and Rumble, and we talk about everything, real issues, everything. We talk about wrestling, mental health, esoteric stuff. life advice. We bring on all kinds of interesting guests. Sometimes they're very weird, sometimes they're experts. We talk about all the missing info that we're not getting in the mainstream media. So we would kind of do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Because, you know, here in America, we're not told the entire story, unfortunately. And we have a lot of people who will dig deep and bring us the rest of it. You can also find me Instagram, Real April Hunter, Patreon, April Hunter, Twitter, April Hunter. And you can find me on Kill City Cup. If you do a search for Kill City Cup, it's actually a really cool kind of a film/wrestling show.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the